The second challenge in the lab to market commercialization is the fact that deep tech, as I explained, as this is the case of the physical meeting the digital, it's fine for the startup team to be working with all these digital ideas. Digital plays a big role in everything we do today. So they're working out this beautiful solution. But until they get access to a real customer who can supply them a real data from a real use case, life will be a challenge for the deep tech in order to move towards the commercial solution. In order to commercialize their solution, they need to apply that and test it on real life situations. Here, again, Northern Europe and US are way ahead of the rest of the world. I do believe that Israel and a few other countries are also quite progressive. The potential customers need to have a progressive mentality that when a startup is knocking on its doors and says, hey, I have this solution, I would like to run a pilot with you. There are two ways the company can look at it. Hey, what's in it for me? And how am I going to benefit? How is it going to solve my problem? But the other way is also, if I don't allow them to touch the real world of whatever it is, whether it is equipment or technology or data related to that, without jeopardizing my operations, how are they going to survive? So they can play a part in that ecosystem by actually being able to support the startups by allowing them access to real life data. Because in my experience, I have found out that this is a big differentiator between countries which are able to generate successful deep tech startups one after another, and countries where you hardly see any startup coming through. The countries such as, I told you about North American countries or the Northern European countries, most of the industries seem to have an open mind in sharing the data that they have with deep tech startups and help the deep tech startup develop their solution further to make it practically applicable in real life. So they actually act like what we call as the anchor customer, or literally a godfather. Whereas in the other countries, and unfortunately India is still in the very immature stage, what we notice is if the startups go and knock on the doors of customers, there is a reluctance about the sharing of the data, especially in certain industries where the data is, very proprietary, or, I come from the energy world, the oil and gas world, and the Indian scenario in that is very abysmal, because the tendency is that this is some kind of a secret that we won't share. And that is the reason why there are no deep tech concepts or ideas that are coming out of India in the energy world, especially in the classic oil and gas, even though there is plenty of potential to do so. And even, without going into details, our own personal experience tells us that reluctance to appreciate and help the startup, or even to share the data, is a big barrier for the startups. But on the private industry side, I have to comment that in India, I think we are seeing more open-mindedness. A lot of the startups that we invest in and a lot of the startups that we are mentoring and advising, the doors do open. Maybe the process is a bit slow. Maybe it's a question of mindset and thinking about it. But I hope this direction continues, further, and the door opening accelerates a bit more, so that there is open-mindedness, there's a welcoming nature when startups are looking for access to real life data from customers' genuine problems. Because without getting their hands on the data, the startup solution basically withers away, because it has no way of improving the solution, or even proving its value, or sharpening it, or making it practical, apply it in the real world.